Hello, and welcome back to Beyond Teaching, Season 2, the pandemic miniseries for Thanksgiving week. Food for thought. Is there such a thing as a run-on title? We're pleased to be returning to you on the Psych Sessions Network. This series is hosted by Susan Nolan from Seton Hall University, Adiyinka Akinseler-Smith from City College, New York, City University, New York, Asani Sewell from Pacific University, and yours truly, Eric Landrum from Boise State University. That's right, this is a 5-part miniseries all released during Thanksgiving week in the U.S. 2021. All of these episodes are pandemically themed. You know, the gift that keeps on giving, and were recorded from May 24th through October 4th, 2021. What are you in for? Oh, the places we'll go. Each day, Monday through Friday of the break, we'll release a new episode. You'll hear us discuss issues such as stopping the tenure clock, publication lags and research productivity, the challenges of campus mask mandates, vaccines and vaccine mandates, the joy and anxiety of returning to face-to-face instruction, online conferences and plausible solutions, DoorDash appears, the curmudgeon. You can guess who that was. Travel budget privilege, student pandemic sluggishness, frog swallowing, what? Weekend fun, and hobbies. Beyond Teaching will launch Season 3 on Wednesday, December 1st, and we'll make one episode available for 10 consecutive Wednesdays in the same manner as we did for Season 1. In the meantime, please enjoy this Season 2 pandemically themed miniseries, suitable for binge listening over your break or whenever you want. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Teaching. I'm with 3 of my favorites right now. I'm Eric Landrum from Boise State University, and I was going to say, let's play Brady Bunch on the screen, but you can't see my screen, so I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Yinka Akinseler-Smith from the City College of New York.
Asani Sewell from Pacific University.
And I'm Susan Nolan from Seton Hall University.
And we try not to timestamp these too often, but we're going to break that rule today. We're talking to you in early August of 2021, and there's this thing going on.
October.
What did I say?
What August?
I'm still thinking.
This is exactly the point. This is you are being me right now.
Susan, you have never given me a higher compliment in my entire life by saying that I am being you right now. Highest compliment ever. We're now, we don't normally timestamp these things, but it is now October of 2021. And just like our students, we're feeling the pandemic, at least those of us who are not on a 1-year sabbatical. So, or maybe everybody is. So how are you coping with things? How are you dealing with things? How are things?
Well, I mean, Eric, you just gave an example before we started recording of working with your students to have maybe some more flexibility about not always running your class full time. I thought that's a great example. Just reading the room.
Yeah, I went into class today. I teach Monday, Wednesdays from 1:30 to 2:45 my time, Mountain Time. And I have usually everything planned out. I give them an opening slide that shows them the 3 things we're going to try to accomplish that day. I got through number 1. I got through number 2 remarkably fast for us. And then with about 45 minutes left to do the 3rd task, they were non-responsive, I think would be the medical term. And I tried to tug in my best possible Eric ways, as you can imagine, and just nothing. And I said, we can do this one thing, or I can give you 45 minutes of your life back. And they weren't even overly excited about that, I will tell you. So that told me, what, folks, take 45 minutes, invest in some self-care, go get yourself a coffee, go try to get a nap early, call your mom, do whatever you need to do to make your life a little bit more pleasant. And we'll come back at it on Wednesday.
I've been doing more and more activities because, I mean, I don't lecture all the time, even close to anyway, but I'm upping the interactivity quotient to get people engaged. In fact, I just realized this coincidentally, I did an activity in my international psychology class today that I stole years ago from Yika.
What was that?
The human rights in the media, where you go through the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and then you find examples of places where human rights are being upheld, places where they're being violated, and instances where they might be violating one person's rights or upholding another person's rights. And then we tied it back to some psychosocial research we had read. And I even told them, I always give you credit. I told them
Thank you for reminding me. I'll use it again in the future.
great. But yeah, I mean, upping the interactivity, I think is good for all in terms of resting your teaching brain.
But it's exhausting. I mean, it's back to that being on Zoom. I actually was at a workshop this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that was in person. There were about 17 of us. And I have to tell you, it was like mind blowing. First of all, I'm like looking at some people who I hadn't seen in, I don't know, well, 2 years. Some I'd never met before, but just the difference of seeing a person's whole entire body was just, I can't even begin to explain. And that we were in there moving around, interacting, albeit with masks on, a big space, was just like, wow, just reminded me how different, what a different world we live in now.
I am back in person, but that's also a bit terrifying too. Students in close quarters and you're talking and they don't always keep their masks over their nose. And I'm constantly like, pull it back up. And so there's some wonderful parts about being back in person, but that constant, at least for me, low level stress.
Yeah, but I've already been counting down the weeks and this is week 6 and I'm already tired.
And exhausted. Yeah. I did this during the pandemic and I think I'm going to keep doing it forever, but I built in to my classes a secret mental health day and And so what I do is I typically cover a topic every 2 days. So I just put in syllabus that we're covering it every 3 days. And then as a purchase, I tell them that one of them is a lie and I'll get to have a day off. And I decided to do I teach Mondays, Wednesdays. So I decided to do the Monday before Thanksgiving. So yeah, I think I knowing that I have that week off from teaching, obviously I'm probably going to end up working that week. It just gives me something to be like, okay, that if I can get to that week, I'll be able to just relax a little. I'm sure Seton Hall doesn't like me to do that, but at this point,
We won't tell them.
sorry, Seton Hall.
Asani, what about for you? I was joking about you're on a sabbatical, but I'm sure there are stressors. You're still doing academic work on a sabbatical.
Lots and lots of letter of references to students who are applying for internship and things like that are going on right now. And I don't know. I think for me, just kind of feeding in the self-care piece every day, even if it's something small, seems to just be a lesson that I learned through this that continues to hold true. The other thing I've been thinking about too, I read this book. The name I can't recall right now, but it divided the world up into different types of people depending on your energy level. Are you a morning lark? Are you someone who's most of their energy first thing in the morning? Are you more of a hummingbird who kind of okay in the mornings, but sort of middays when you get your stride? Are you a little bit more of a night owl? I like this analogy anyway too because I love birds. I'm a birder, so that really rang true for me. But the point that this author made, and sorry that I can't give credit to the books, I can't recall the name of it right now, was to try to work in a way that takes into account when you have the most energy, even though we're not at 100% energy right now, any of us, because of the pandemic. But there might be some tasks that are a little bit more mundane that you could kick to the end of your day, as opposed to spending all your time when you're whatever time during the day, spending all your time at that time when you have a lot of energy doing mundane tasks. So for me, email, let's say. I really should be looking at email first thing in the morning as a morning lark when I have all this energy and I've got the most capacity to be creative and things like that. Save the email to when it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I don't feel like I don't have any brain cells left. So I don't know. I've been trying to think about reorganizing my day in such a way that takes advantage of what energy I do have so that those activities that are the most meaningful for me or require the most brain space are happening during the times when I have the most energy and brain space. And so
That's a great.
That is such an important thing. And I think most people, when they start paying attention, they figure out if they're a morning person, afternoon or evening. There's actually a morningness, eveningness scale out there. It's been around since the 60s. I've used it in conjunction with caffeine scales in the past. And caffeine use can be correlated with morningness and eveningness, interestingly. Sonny, that reminded me that understanding your prime time of day often is important to know about what tasks and what I guess, I don't know if this is a real idea, emotional valence of that task. Paul Sylvia wrote a book about how to do a lot or how to get a lot done, how to write a lot. And the best tip I got out of that book was, if you have a lot of emails to answer, I think we all do on this podcast. A lot of people, when they get to work or when they get up to work on wherever they are, the first thing they do is they start answering emails in the morning. And for me, that is a very depressing task because I know I've got 8 hours of emails ahead of me and I'll never get caught up. What he said in that book, which I really love, is that if that's the case, and if it's depressing type of task, do something else first. Start your morning and get something else done. Work on a manuscript or work on a project that is pleasant to you, that has a positive valence first for a while, for an hour, and then work on emails for 8 hours if you can that day. Do something else first before you get to emails.
Yeah.
So I actually went to a time management thing when I was in grad school, and they actually said the opposite. They called it swallow the frog, which is do the worst thing first, because then there's a weight that's lifted off your shoulders. And if you can force yourself to swallow the frog, then the rest of the day seems more manageable. But the problem is that the emails are, the frog is the thing that you've been putting off. It's the letter of recommendation that's due date is creeping up and that it's going to be a pain to write. Or it's the kind of thing that you just, for me, it's often non-work things. It's, oh my God, do I really have to figure out how to renew my flooded? So for me, those are often the frogs.
Yeah, I think the frogs are the 14 different tasks that are only just being delivered by email.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking up the student's record to answer the question about graduation and telling the student they're not going to graduate on the timeline they think they are.
Right.
Email's not the bad thing. It's the message I have to deliver. It's going to take me 45 minutes to write that email. So now I'm dreading email, but I'm really just dreading the message.
And the frogs are often things that you can put on, but you really, the longer you put it off, the more onerous it is.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's a thing that's someday I need to do this thing. And then the minute you do it, you're like, oh, phew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other thing I do is because lately I've had to work like around the clock even on the weekends. And so on the weekends, I let myself do any work that I want, the most pleasant, like whatever most fun task, because I'm getting work done. So on the weekends, I can do everything I want work-wise, as long as I'm working. And that helps me a lot. Because some work tasks are truly fun.
Mm-hmm.
Are you letting yourself do any fun tasks on the weekend?
I will once I'm caught up.
Oh, wow. Okay, that'll be a couple of years from now.
Well,
And this is a fun task, Susan.
this is a very fun. I would do it all weekend. Oh, I still want to get. If you want to get on live with me, I'll record all weekend long. I'm actually dealing with some family issues right now that I'm not going to get into that are taking up a lot of my time, including during the week with my aging mom kind of stuff. So things will get under control at some point. But I feel like if you have to work and you want to take a break on a Sunday, I have super fun things like working on a writing project that doesn't have any particular imminent due date, but just is fun, or a new topic for class that you want to cover and you just want to dig in, do some reading about something that kind of stuff.
Watching NFL football, I'm sure, is up there on your list. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm boycotting football for a while now for a number of reasons.
Good for you.
CTE at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as soon as they recover from concussions, they'll look up what CTE means.
You are wrong.
At least I made some of you laugh.
Made all of it.
Always make us
Laugh or cry, one or the other.
Yeah. Do we want to round this out with our favorite hopefully averting burnout tip?
I need to go last because I got to think about it.
I never saw it. I never liked yoga. I never got into meditation, all of those kinds of things. It just wasn't me. But over the past, I guess, year now, I have a friend / colleague who has been doing a meditation on Friday mornings for our friend group. It's live, Zoom, and I'm not good at sitting still. So I do mind walking in the park, like way out where it's just nature. And I have found myself looking forward to it. I had no idea I would really like, especially a walking in nature meditation, mindfulness meditation for just a half hour. And that's my tip, is because it really forces me to get out of my head and what do I have to do? What do I have to do? What do I have to do? And there's really good ones. Like at Stanford, if you Google Stanford mindfulness meditation, there's a bunch of like audio ones. You can find free ones from universities that are, yeah.
Is it like in Phil Zimbardo's voice?
I don't even know what else.
Do you want to meditate to feel a little puzzle? Boy, that's not relaxing at all.
You are in my prison.
Plan on 14 days, but it might only last 6.
Anyone else have averting burnout tip?
I do a lot of books on audio. So I run or walk in the mornings. And so I get a good book on audio, and that way I can, but the trick for me is the reader.
Yeah.
There's nothing that makes me more crazy than bad accents. So I will drop a book because I have an ear for accents. So if it's an African writer and it's a bad attempt at a Nigerian accent, that just is a turnoff. I'm actually reading.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm actually reading a really good one that is the reader. It's set in Ireland, and the reader, it's just beautiful listening to her read the book. So
I'll give you. I agree. It drives me nuts, and I have a tip for that. I've discovered anecdotally, but it seems like there's a correlation. If there are multiple readers, it means they put some money into having multiple readers, and they're usually much better, and they're really good actors. And they swap for different voices. So
yes.
if there are 2 or more readers, that's usually a really good sign.
Okay. Thank you.
Asani and Eric.
I don't know. I find that for me, all of this brings up a lot of existential thinking, but the thing that has helped has been not to ask myself or think about when is this all going to be over. I felt like I was asking myself all the time in the beginning, and I began to feel like that wasn't very helpful for me to constantly be contemplating that. So along the lines of Susan's mindfulness and meditation, trying to stay in the moment as much as I can. Of course, still making plans for the future and all of that, but just trying to get through it sort of one day at a time and finding the joy every day, whatever that might be.
I love her.
Can I attempt a bad British accent? I'm wondering how upset Yinka will be if I attempt a bad British accent.
Oh, my darling, you are just...
Oh, I can't believe how bad his accent is. What a pathetic mess. What a bloody mess his accent is.
I have another tip for Yinka. Do not buy any audiobooks where Eric is.
Hot in the hot. In a British accent is on. Oh,
Eric, you know, time burnout tip is to get on a call with Eric.
And it's just to laugh. That's a big anti-burnout tip, is to
Yes.
if you're not laugh
and relax.
laugh at
With
me.
good friends.
The two that I would have, thank you for telling. Not everybody does. One would be convinced myself not that long ago that it's okay to have 80 emails in my inbox when I leave work after a hard day, because as it turns out, the earth will continue to spin on its axis if there are 80 emails in my inbox. And the second one is, for me, is to have a hobby. And my hobby tends to be woodworking. So it's good for me to get out in the garage, work with my hands, get out in front of a screen, whether it be a computer screen, laptop screen, or Netflix screen, get out from in front of a screen and go make some sawdust and try to build something or repair something. I just have to, because I do most days love my job, love serving my students and my faculty and staff at Boise State, but I still need a break from it.
Thank you, friends, for
Yeah, thank you.
sharing your tips and our little.
It was a jolly good episode, I think. Thank you so much for listening.
And with that, you can hang up as fast as you can.
It's like goodbye and goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.